Okay. Now, according to all of my records, it's all now live and we're all up and running. And anybody who has got themselves their notifications on YouTube and on Twitter and Facebook and whatever are now thinking to themselves, hang on a second, isn't he supposed to be starting this back up again on the 16th? What the hell's he doing? Yes, it's a little bit of an early episode actually. In fact, if I press that button, it tells you it's a season 8 incidental episode, and we're squeezing one in before we actually start our new season post San Diego Comic Con 2020 on Sunday the 16th. But basically, if you have yourself your notifications on, that means you're a subscriber, and I really appreciate all of your support. Thank you very much indeed. This is a bit of a one-off. It's going to be slightly shorter than usual, but certainly we're going to get into some bits and pieces, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. Of course, as always, we've got all of the channels up and running, so Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, whatever. We're all taking comments, which means if you have any questions for myself or indeed for Philip, jump in by all means and let us know what you're thinking today and any questions that you have. It's going to be a fun show thing, I think, if anything, because the topic of conversation, the Kickstarter that Philip's done, it's excellent, and I think he should have a big grin on his face as well because it's going very well. But we'll explain that and we'll get into it. Dan Berry, I thought today was the 16th. Stop confusing us. Yes, I know. Sorry about that. And Into the Blue Mist, hello from sweaty Wales. Trust me, Yorkshire is just as hot and humid, but I can guarantee it's not as hot as LA. I think Philip's in LA, but we'll ask him in a second. We'll dive into it. But yes, thank you very much indeed for everyone for sticking with us over that slight gap that we've had since Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con at home. Hope you enjoyed Comic-Con at home. It was an interesting setup, wasn't it? It was, it was fun, but plenty of things to unpack between now and next year, obviously, when they no doubt bring us all back to San Diego, but all sorts of stuff to do. But there we go. Welcome along to Talking Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. I have my cup of tea. I'm all ready to go. And basically, we talk comics, Comic-Cons, con culture, and all the fantastic stuff and nonsense that we get to enjoy at such shows when they happen. Obviously, I think we're going to be waiting until 2021 when they're back up and running. But for now, we get to talk to some great creators who are filling their time during quarantine and lockdown, and until they can get out and meet with their fans. And some of the ways that the creatives are doing that is turning to social media and also to crowdfunding to reconnect with their audience in a new and interesting way. And in that regard, we have got ourselves a fantastic guest, Mr. Philip Bond. Hello there, sir. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I mean,
can you hear me now?
We can indeed. Whereabouts are you then? Because just to clarify, are you LA?
Yeah. We're actually just into Burbank, which is just like the other side of the Hollywood Hills from Los Angeles proper.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I can actually, if I look out of the window over there, I can just about see sort of. It's like the opposite side of the Hollywood Hills. You know where the Hollywood sign is?
Yeah.
I can see the other side of that.
So you can see...
there's like a radio antenna or some sort of broadcast antenna on top. I can see the other side of that.
I was actually going to try and say, so you can see... And I was going to try and pronounce Hollywood backwards, but I can't quite do that yet. I'm not that clued up. I was going to try, but there we go.
I'm not going there.
We are talking about a fantastic Kickstarter you've got up and running, which is days away from closing, which is the reason why we're doing this incidental episode. Otherwise,
it was wonderful of you to great of you to fit us in.
Really
at the last second, because I know you'd got in contact before, and then Shelley was going like, "Well, you should really get in there before your Kickstarter closes." So, thanks for getting us in today.
Well, no worries. I mean, we're going to talk about the Kickstarter, going to talk about the origins of it, but I'm actually going to start this season of shows with 3 questions. and I'm going to ask all the guests that come on these questions, and we'll dive into the meat of the conversation in a minute. But question number one is if you can remember the piece of artwork or the comic that got you in actually wanting to make comics or make art. Can you remember the actual piece or the comic that actually made you say, I want to do that?
Oh boy, let's see. I mean, it would have been like 2000 AD, I'm sure. Like, for me, it sort of happened twice. It happened sort of with the early days of 2000 AD, which sort of for me came at like bang on the exact right time for me, because I was like 11 years old or something, 10 or 11 years old. So that was perfect. I just sort of like got out of the sort of kids comics thing and was just ready for 2000 AD. So like 2000 AD and Star Wars both hit at the same time.
Oh, nice.
So it would be like early 2000 AD stuff. But exactly what, I don't know. Probably like, what was the rollerball ripoff they did?
Oh, good lord! You're putting me on the spot now.
Was that or you know what?
Because I was Warlock. I was into the fantastical side, and admittedly ABC Warriors as well. Yeah. But I'm trying to remember what that was.
Yeah. No, I like thinking back. I'm going to go back a little bit further and go to Action Comics. Nice. And the shark Hookjaw. They I remember they once did a poster that you could put together out of it was like single page or spread from the issues over like 2 months or something, and you'd take them out and put them together like a jigsaw. So there was this giant poster of Hookjaw, the shark, and he was like diving through this maze of body parts, divers and body parts, basically.
Which is exactly which a 10, 11-year-old, that is...
You could sort of get lost in it. You know, you had the whole thing there, but then every time you looked at it, you could see, like, oh, there's somebody's hand floating there. Oh, there's the guy the hand belongs to. Yeah. But then sort of, yeah, like later on college years, I sort of, I'm sure it was Love and Rockets sort of got me back into comics.
Yeah.
So it was reading that, like putting my finger on sort of a particular piece, particular sort of piece of art. I don't know.
Fair enough. But, I mean, what I was going to... I mean, I've been deliberating over these questions over the last week and a half, 2 weeks or so. And one of the questions was if you can remember that first time when you went from reading comics to actually looking at the credits and realising there were people involved that made them, and it was a career, and that's the thing that kind of, oh, I can do that, or I would like to try and do that. So that's kind of that kind of question. It's Harlem Heroes, by the way, right. Into the Blue Mist are reminding us about that.
Well done.
Indeed.
Well done, it was. Of course it was.
Yeah. And question number 2, if you can remember your first Comic-Con, if you can remember the first time you actually went to one.
Well, certainly one of the British ones. Yeah, like it would have been about the time I was leaving college, like before I left college. So it was like before Deadline started up, which was what, like 89 maybe.
Yeah. So
it'd be like 88 or 89, and we'd like taken some samples to sort of see if we could get someone at 2000 AD to look at stuff.
Okay.
Oh, there's a cup of tea.
And a cup of tea's coming. Fantastic. And the third question I'm going to be asking...
It's got a hat.
Oh, wow.
It's got a hat. I don't know what...
It's PG Tips. I mean,
yes.
There's quality stuff there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which I believe this is either PG Tips or Yorkshire Tea, whatever, because we put them into... Yeah. It's one of the two. And the third question I'm going to be asking is... when you've been to a Comic-Con, can you remember a time that you've been a bit of a fan yourself of somebody that you've met at a con? Is there anyone that you've just kind of gone a little bit weak at the knees and just gone, oh my god, it's that person?
I really don't. I mean, I'm not. I never really sort of got into sort of meeting and signing and things like that. Uh, so no, I'm going to avoid that question. I don't think I have
Fair
actually.
enough.
I
Fair
never
enough.
really went out of my way to sort of meet heroes. Although, I guess meeting sort of like running into like the Hernandez brothers. Um, yeah, I
Yeah.
suppose that's sort of like not weak at the knees, but makes you sort of like reconsider how you're presenting yourself.
Fair enough. Excellent stuff. Well, thank you very much indeed for answering the questions.
All right,
We do have
bye.
some. No. We've got. We want to talk about ink, but just to quickly, we've got a couple of comments coming in as well. People are saying hi. You've got Clydeen Nee, who's
Oh,
the
hello.
obviously from
Yes,
Comic Con
yes.
International, saying hi and
Comic Con
waving.
memories. Thank you,
Yeah.
Clydeen, for putting us in Artist Alley,
Yeah.
2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Um, yep.
Cool. So the reason why we've got you on today is to talk about something particularly special, because this is a project which was born from Inktober, and it is the fantastic. If we can just, I don't know why the incidental episode thing is in there, but there we go. Oh, I know why. Let me turn that off. There we go. It's the cover. It's the cover image for this project, and like I say, born from Inktober. But if you can give us kind of like a bit of a background of the pieces that you did over that period.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess I heard about the whole Inktober thing. I'm not sure now how many years it had been going, but it had already been going a couple of years before I did any, and I think the first year I heard about it would have been 2013, and I like wasn't ready for it, didn't think I could do it, and then 2014 I thought, oh, let's give it a go, and it actually worked really well for me as a drawing exercise and as a just a personal challenge, really. And I didn't think I'd be able to get sort of more like. I mean, the idea is that you produce a drawing every day throughout the month of October. I didn't think I'd get more than a week in before I sort of lost interest and given up, because I have a terrible reputation for losing interest and giving up. But yeah, no, I made it through to the end of the month, and I found it a really good exercise. It was really, I think I was already sort of having the heaviest workload for a long time at that time, and still managed to do it. And I just came out really sort of like happy with myself and happy with the work I'd done. And so I kept it up, and I've done it every year since then. I think the second year I was posting, and people were going like, are you selling any of these? So since then, there's been this like stupid kind of bidding war on them. Like every time they get posted on Instagram, I can't imagine there must people who like wait around all day waiting for me to post, sort of like being, especially for the English, like I'm like what am I, like 8 hours
Yeah.
behind? So if I don't post like, in the morning, they're waiting up till like midnight or something for something to happen. But yeah, so thank you everyone who has bought something, because it's been great. It's been as like for a drawing exercise, for just producing stuff, and also for just getting that sort of like immediate reaction, that sort of the back and forth and the sort of yeah.
I mean, I can imagine, because it's something that I've asked a number of artists over the course of when I've seen Inktober happen, and it's also something I've thought of when Jim Lee's done his run of 60 sketches for which he's done for charity over the course of lockdown. At the end of the day, you do have your own work to do, as well as this kind of
Yeah.
this project in the background, this thing that isn't necessarily going to be earning money, as it were. It's something, like you say, it's an exercise. I always find it interesting.
It doesn't start out as a money spinner or a sort of like a real project. It's just sort of something you know, ideally like maybe takes like half an hour every day. You know. So yeah, it doesn't start out as some master plan to actually make any money. Yeah.
Well, but that's where we look at 2020, and that is what is happening, because you've got this Kickstarter for. Yes, I have got the. I thought for a second I thought that I got the URL wrong there, but no, it is Ink 12, because they're based. It's based around the 12-inch format, which, if you can just see down there, as a professional DJ or ex-DJ of my own, I know the format well. I know the format and size. So
I actually have a couple of mock-ups here actually.
Oh.
This is just a sample from like the local record plant that managed to just fit some things in. So they come out sort of like yay size and. So yeah, basically the idea is like there's 12 of these prints. Can you hear me? I think I've lost sound.
No, I'm here.
No,
I'm here.
Yeah, so there are 12 of these prints, and they slip nicely inside a 12-inch record sleeve like this. Not just any 12-inch record sleeve, but a specially produced one, like this one, which just happens to be any. It's not my own. So
Fair enough.
it's the OCs. I've heard good things about the OCs, but
I will have to check them out.
I don't know. I'm not going to recommend because I don't know.
Fair enough.
So yeah, that's the idea basically. It's sort of like a bunch of 12-inch square prints that fit nicely inside a record sleeve like that.
Well, I mean, we've got a couple that obviously have been produced. I think we've got 6 that we've got here, and they're very much based around a very striking character. I have to ask: does she have a name?
Actually, there's a whole bunch of characters there.
Okay.
They don't have names. No, actually, some of them. No. There's somebody recently suggested that they all seem like sort of panels from a story, and yeah, this is my way of doing comics without having to deal with an actual story. I do feel like they're sort of like panels from a story, but you can sort of make up the story that fits around them.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually that was going to be one of my next questions as well, which was, is there a kind of an order to them that you would recommend, or when they come in the sleeve?
You can make up your own order.
Yeah. So yeah, you make up your own story, make up your own comic, I suppose.
Yeah. You could slap your own speech bubbles on and see what occurs.
Cool.
Make them kiss.
Yeah. And you're saying half an hour is what you took to spend on them, or?
Well, geez, the original ones, yeah.
Yeah.
I tend to find myself getting sucked in, and they're more like an hour each now at least. And I should show you, like, when they're like printed up at 12-inch size, this is like a huge blow up from the original size, which is like this.
Oh wow. Okay.
So actually, here's one of those that you showed.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're that size originally, and part part of part of that was sort of the idea was to make it so that I couldn't spend too much time on them. But of course, you just get thinner and thinner pens, so you can put all the little details in. But yeah, there's only so much time you can actually physically spend on a panel that's that small.
True. And then we've got ourselves. I mean, they are gorgeous. They are just striking little images,
Thank you.
little snapshots, like you say, into this the story. At which point then did you feel that this could be something beyond the Inktober, and that could be and done in this very striking and individual fashion, the 12-inch single format or 12-inch vinyl format?
Well, it was having the demand for them. Every October that came round, I'd sort of do one of these drawings every day and sort of immediately sell it, and there would be like a number of people going like, "Oh no, I missed it," and like, "Can you do some more?" Or "Can you do like commissions and things? Can you do an extra one just for me?"
I can imagine you get that request quite a bit.
Yeah, I always sort of intended to do some prints to make them available for more people, and it was just sort of over time and looking at all the scans of the originals that I had. Over 6 years, I've ended up with like 200 or so, and a lot of them that I did want to see in print. So yeah, this is going to be volume 1, and since it's been successful enough, I'm going to sort of see what happens if I put together a volume 2, and we'll sort of do the whole thing again in maybe a couple of months.
Well, I mean, this isn't your first foray into Kickstarter or into crowdfunding, because I mean, if I can just pull up my notes, because I mean, obviously there was the Femme Magnifique project, which you did with Shelley, but you also were involved with the Tank Girl Kickstarter in 2014 as well.
Tangentially, yes.
Yeah. So you kind of knew what to expect when it comes to crowdfunding and Kickstarter, because I mean, I've had a couple of people over the course of summer obviously wanting to connect with their audience in a more direct fashion, turning to crowdfunding, and we had Paul Jenkins on, and he has not had the best of time with crowdfunding. It was not necessarily with the raising of the funds. It was more the generating of the product. It was a couple of people that let him down. There was all sorts of nightmares that kind of came across his way. I can imagine that there's a lot of things that go off in the back of your mind when it comes to making that decision to do crowdfunding, about the risks involved and about whether this will find an audience. I mean, what was your impressions of crowdfunding, especially going into ink?
Well, going into this, it was a lot easier because really the bulk of the work was already done. So I was selling something that was already produced, and I wasn't having to pay anybody else. I didn't have didn't have a team to be paying. So it was really it was the perfect thing for me, because I knew there was some sort of audience out there. I knew there was at least 10 people who would want one of these. So yeah, I mean, the only risk was I could keep the costs sort of pretty low. I think that's often a stumbling block when you do a Kickstarter. If you do have to pay other people, and your initial cost comes out sort of like really pretty high, it's tough to get there.
I can imagine as well, because at the end of the day, it's a worldwide audience. It's international, and shipping and all of that kind of. That I understand. That I understand is the big kick in the teeth for most people doing crowdfunding. Yeah. The moment it starts, heading overseas, that's when things really start getting awkward.
Yeah, and I know, like Shelley's most recent Kickstarter, the Hey Amateur Kickstarter, there's like shipped just as the pandemic really sort of started closing things down, and the shipping has turned into a bit of a nightmare with that. It's like there's things are still sort of like every few days you'll hear about people say, oh, it finally turned up. It's been in the mail for like 3 months, but it finally turned up. So yeah, that's going to be a little worried down the line, but hopefully that's going to sort of will have shaken out by the time I'm getting things in the mail. But yeah, it's and the costs of it are sort of pretty outrageous. Just the and having for me in particular, sort of living out here in California, which is just obviously a horrible place to be, and having sort of like really at least 50% of my audience really in the UK. So there's so much international shipping there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Also, I can imagine the actual creation of the actual Kickstarter, because it is about putting yourself and putting your wares out there for people to buy. Who did you turn to for advice on actually creating the campaign? Tiers, stretch goals, all that kind of thing. Was Shelley the first person you called on, or was there other people that you turned to as well?
It was entirely Shelley. It was like all sort of based on our experience with previous Kickstarters there, and I knew from that I didn't want to have like a whole bunch of tiers and rewards tiers. So basically, we've just got like 3 tiers. There's like you get to sort of give money and get nothing, or you get the record, or you get there's an extra booklet of so I can get more prints in the package without. There's a 7-inch size, basically. There's a 7-inch size booklet that goes with it, and then there was of course, there was the original art tier, which is why I've been doing these sort of. Which started out at I was doing 30 of these, and then there was demand, so it ended up being 50. So I've still got maybe 15 more to draw.
Oh wow!
So
yeah,
they're all here. I'll just sort of wait. This one hasn't been up yet. This one's going up today.
I'm just gonna say, don't lose those. don't drop them. Don't lose them.
I've got the bin right underneath me.
Oh God! Oh dear Lord! I mean, we've just shown there and we'll turn back to it, because I mean, it must be incredibly satisfying as well to see that number. I mean, we're looking at the UK Kickstarter, obviously, so it's the UK figures. 3,815 was the goal. £10,031. That's not too shabby.
I'm really happy with that, because I mean, it means that, for one thing, it means that we can do this again. If I mean, I think the first time probably there's more than in future. The sales are always going to go down, but if I can do half of that again, it means I can do another one at least, and then before you know it, you've got that sort of collection thing going on where you've got 5 of these and another one's come up. I'm gonna have to get number 6 now.
Yeah.
So but also it means I can make sure the quality's as the best I can. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's
going to our local printers next week and sort of checking out the papers and seeing, if I can go in and tell them, look, I've got some like extra money now. Like, what's the next step up, sort of printing wise? What can we do to make this look better?
Fair enough. Well, I mean, don't think solid gold.
Yeah.
Solid gold pieces. I think that'd be a bitch to ship. I think as well that what I really liked about the campaign as well is that you started with that £5 pledge. It was something that anyone could just dive in, and just a nice entry point, even just a postcard, one of the ink postcards for $5. I thought that was just a really great way for people to show support, especially, I mean, it's something that I brought up enough over the course of the summer. That this is difficult times for everybody. There's finances are a little bit tight for some, but this was a great way to show that support with that initial postcard. And then, yeah, I mean, for £16 to get the to get that.
£15.
Well, it's about $20.
Yeah, $20
Yeah,
was
yeah.
yes.
So you've got the black and white prints packaged in a full sleeve. Yeah. That's nicely affordable. It's a great way for people to get involved. And then, of course, you've got these slightly higher tiers as well.
All gone.
All gone. Yes. Look, I mean, it's safe to say they were going to be incredibly popular. I mean, $75 is not too shabby at all. But yeah, I mean, considering how long we've got to go, which is 5 days left on it, and yeah, I mean,
finishes Wednesday.
Yeah, three times what the target was. I mean, what was your kind of goal, as it were, to when you were first putting this project together? Did you have an inkling of how well it was going to go?
No. No. I would have been. I just wanted to make the thing. You know. I would have been happy to come close to the original goal, and I would have just done it anyway, I'm sure. But yeah, it's gone great. I don't know exactly how many of the actual package it's turning out to be at the moment, but yeah, we're gonna do sort of 300 or 500 of them, which is great. I actually found one of the things that prompted me to do this and planted the idea in my head was there's actually sort of pretty close by. There's a printing plant that actually specialises in record sleeves. So I can that's cuts down on some shipping costs because I can just drive over there and pick them up. But that was one of the things that when I saw that, pieces fell together. I'm doing these square artworks that fit nicely on Instagram. Maybe we could do them as record sleeve size. And of course, you can get the ready-made frames for the 12-inch size records.
Yeah. So. And I was going to ask then, because obviously the 12-inch vinyl size, that would be kind of leading to the idea that there would be a piece of vinyl inside these the sleeves. Do you have any suggestions or any ideas of what vinyl would be inside the covers that you've created?
No. You've planted a whole other idea in my head now.
I'm fully expecting Shelley to shout out some titles from over the room.
No, it's the Style Council, of course it is. No. I was just like, you planted an idea that would fit nicely. Would be something like the Voyager record.
Ooh.
Like not a real gold disc, but an engraved disc rather than playable on one side, maybe with this interview or something.
I don't think people want to hear my dulcet tones, but certainly I'd love to hear if there was any suggestions from like your fans and followers of like artists or even like indie bands that would just sit nicely. Yeah, it would sit nicely with it. You said this is volume 1, and obviously that kind of like suggests for next Inktober, but you're saying that it could be even sooner than that.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a plan as to sort of when this might happen, but yeah, I mean that was always, you know, we called it Volume One, so you know, there's a clue in the title.
Sure.
But yeah, and because I, you know, when I chose the pieces, you know, I didn't want to just choose all my favorites. You know, I wanted to be able to save some goodies for next time. And then, of course, sort of having done 2 or 3 drawings every day this month, I've got a whole bunch more that I want to add. So I'm sort of right now I'm like planning on like swapping out some of the ones that I was going to put in this, and maybe I'll, you know, put a couple of the new ones in there instead.
And I think the just the success of the Kickstarter as well. I just got this fear that this could be your next project for the foreseeable future, in taking it away from other work, and they are thinking, well, actually, this is earning me nicely. Thank you very much indeed. I'll just keep doing this.
Yeah, well, no, until the money runs out. Yeah, until people start going like, I'm tired of this now. It's obviously a scam just to get me to send in money. No, there are other projects on the horizon anyway. You know, the whole COVID thing has slowed things down a lot, but there is one other secret project on the go at the moment, which is going to be not entirely unrelated, but yeah, it's going to be good. I'll say that much.
Cool. A couple of comments coming in on the questions, so we'll dive into this. Solicitor Smeg is asking, seems like crowdfunding works best when there are few people to rely on, and the people you have to rely on, you have a lot of trust in. So yeah, I
so
can say
something. Basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only one I have to rely on, and I don't entirely trust myself, but yeah.
Yeah. And he's also suggesting perhaps, how about a DVD of you drawing your art, explaining your thought process when creating a character and so on. Doing something more multimedia with it.
Yes. Yeah. I can't do a DVD because it would have to be like you'd have to do something 12-inch. It could be a lo-fi
Laserdisc.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You've now got to find someone who actually could print a laserdisc now in 2020.
Yeah. And anyone who can play one.
Oh, listen! If vinyl can come back, I think there's somebody out there with a laserdisc player.
Yeah.
If we can just quickly talk about you kind of touched on some like future projects, but also projects that have been a little bit more recent. I mean, you sent a piece of artwork over regarding this particular creation. Oh, hang on a second, which is Eve Stranger. At which point I turned around and said I wasn't actually going to put that up because, dude, I own Eve Stranger. I am a fan. I know the book well. Black Crown was very much not only a very canny project to go with IDW, but it was also very much a labour of love for Shelley and for yourself.
As it turned out for myself, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, originally it was sort of 90% Shelley at least, but yeah, it very much sort of became both of us.
Yeah.
Early on we realised that sort of we were both getting into this, and how much I could help out.
I mean, if we could talk about Eve Stranger, because it is an amazing book. I've spoken to David about the how the actual book came about, but what was it that appealed to you about the project that made you commit to taking part and getting involved?
It was let's see, the name. Shelley had been sort of rolling it around for many years, actually looking for the right story that just went with the name, and so when David, she suggested it to David, sort of coming off the back of Punk's Not Dead, and he just sort of came back with some really good ideas, and we started just sort of, I don't know, sort of like that early on whether I was actually attached to it. but it was pretty early that Shelley's probably shouting at me, and I can't hear because we've got headphones in. She's probably correcting me on this. But yeah, pretty early on, I was like, oh, I want to do this one. So it was the nature of the story, the kind of the tone of it, which was kind of this sort of like light-hearted sci-fi romp.
I can imagine that kind of like that Joe 90 kind of vibe as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
It tickled your fancy.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Strangely enough, you're the first person to have compared it with Joe 90.
Really?
But,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my! Now I see what David was doing. All this time. He just ripped off Joe 90.
We can't say that out loud. He's not going to be happy if he hears that.
It's not the first time anything like that has come along. Obviously, it's like an idea that sort of recurs in fiction.
Sure.
Certainly in recent times, and that's in large part because of the world we live in. But yeah, I think as soon as I started reading the pitch and the sort of sample scripts that David was doing, I could just sort of, as soon as you start seeing it in your head, that's half the battle.
And that's when you know you're committed, when you're actually seeing the story in your head as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why I wanted to bring up Eve Stranger is because it is a story that, I mean, I know that David has talked about that he definitely saw more for Eve Stranger moving forward, and creating comics certainly for Kickstarter and for an audience beyond Black Crown, and where that project came to its end, and where Eve Stranger could move further forward. Is crowdfunding comics something that appeals, perhaps, or where's other projects that Kickstarter could work?
I think so. I think for creators, yeah. I think if you have at least a small audience, I think you can do this as long as you've got the time and the motivation and some degree of talent, I suppose. I think what we realised sort of early on, doing Black Crown, me and Shelley, when IDW set us up as a sort of remote operation, the idea was their original idea was we'd just sort of like edit the books and get the artwork together and then send it to them to package. But we sort of realised pretty early on that we enjoyed doing the whole thing ourselves. So we realised that we didn't really need anybody else. The only other people we needed was it was all the printing and the stuff, the logistics and the distribution, which a lot of that, doing something crowdfunding gets beyond that. You can do most of it yourself now. So as an artist, as a creator, it like frees you up, and you can really sort of do whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, it's also helpful as well when you have a creative powerhouse like Shelley to kind of bring everything together and to create that kind of concept. Yes, I did put myself forward for being one of the Wednesday night in-house DJs for the Black Crown pub, but that never happened, unfortunately. Never mind. Never mind.
Wasn't real.
Really? In some people's heads, I believe it was. But there we go.
Well,
Into the Blue Mister. Oh.
Yeah. At times like this, you can, imaginary pubs are where it's at. Yeah.
Very much so. Into the Blue Mister, not ripped off, influenced by So there you go. So
I don't know if it was influenced by it. It might have been entirely subconscious.
just something noodling around in his head. Yeah, absolutely.
We will have to ask David about that. Yeah,
Indeed.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll finish up on just asking about life beyond ink, and like I say, we've got a volume 2 that could be happening sooner rather than later. You've got this secret project that you can't necessarily talk about. Is there anything else that you can tease that has come out of this strange and unique time that we've been in this summer? Creative juices that have been stirred, perhaps, and what you've got coming down the line.
Juices are always being stirred, always stirring the juices. Yeah. No, unless Shelley's going to remind me of something now. No, this is. Why did you give me a tissue? My creative juices. Am I breaking out in a sweat? No, this is it right now. This is I'm getting, and I'm just enjoying drawing every day. That's I mean, that's one thing I didn't say early on when you asked about how this project in particular started out. It's just like the drawing. I just enjoy drawing. That was. Yeah, and like I said, sort of not having it connected with an ongoing story, but it could be. It's there's something that I enjoy just doing, just a little drawing every day.
It's just like this snapshot of a story, this unconnected frame that just sits in. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's. I think there's a feeling that runs through them, the feeling of sort of like, and again, sort of particularly at the moment, there's this feeling of sort of isolation and just being sort of disconnected and floating, like that.
Cool.
That's something that's.
Well, I think that also ties in with the fact that they're vinyl size as well, because there is that idea of. I mean, we've got the aggregation #1 cover, and it's something that I kind of got that sense of when I was listening to my vinyl when I was a kid, just plugging in the headphones and disappearing into your own world, and disappearing into the sleeve artwork, and disappearing into this thing that someone else had created almost just for you. And I think that's what people are taking very much away from the project, and that's why I think why it's connecting so well.
I hope so, because that sounds great to me. That sounds like
sounds idyllic, doesn't it?
That's where I want to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. Well, I mean, all I can say is congratulations. It's gone fantastically well. 5 more days to go.
Just let me say thanks again to all the people who've been supporting what I've been doing over the past few years. Especially with the Inktober things. There's been a sort of community there that's always been there, waiting to get hold of the original pieces, which is really nice. And sort of so for that support, I feel really sort of grateful and privileged for that.
Yeah. Well, I'll put you full screen so you can say that to people, and appreciate and show you the appreciation. But there we go. Philip, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much indeed for coming on.
Thank you.
Looking forward to receiving ink, because I am one of the people that have donated.
Did you manage to get an original?
No, I'm afraid I didn't. So I'm
Sorry.
No, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But no, looking forward to seeing how the project moves forward as well, and also everything else that comes down the line from yourself. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much indeed for coming on.
Thank you.
Take care. And where can people? Well, I mean, we can bring it back up again so people can follow the link. It's kickstarter.com/projects PJ Bond Inc. /Inc-12-Volume-1. Where else can people find things that you're getting up to? Is it mostly Instagram where you live when it comes to social media?
Yeah, really, yeah. I follow follow things up on Twitter sometimes, but yeah, Instagram has been sort of like the ideal place for me. Really, it's been great to just sort of like draw something and post it immediately. Just like
Cool. And the address for that, what's your handle on Instagram?
It's just PJ Bond.
There we go.
PJ Bond.
Fantastic. Philip, thank you so much indeed for coming on, and hopefully we'll see you at a Comic-Con at some point down the line.
Yep.
When someone decides to get their finger out. And
I will be there with I'll have a record box this time full of.
of course.
By my one of these. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
Thank you. You too.
You too. Thank you. Excellent stuff indeed. Philip Bond there. Do go check out the Kickstarter. It is an amazing project. It's so unique in the way that it's been presented. So do go check that out. 5 days to go. So you've only got a limited time to get in and check out that particular crowdfunding campaign. Right, that's it. That's been our incidental episode. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Once again, we are starting back with episode 1, our first show back of the 2020-2021 run on Sunday the 16th. It's going to be a bit of a show, just kind of letting you know what we're getting up to. We already have some incredible guests lined up for the first 4 or 5 weeks. Looking forward to letting you know about them. A couple of slight changes to the way we're actually doing the show as well. But we'll do all of that on the Sunday. Do join us, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT, and hopefully we'll see you for another run of Talking Con, a cup of tea with Englishman in San Diego. For myself, Leonard, and to you, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.